Joe Cox Jr. Wonder if I told you that narcissism breeds poverty. Well, you sit there and you think, well, Joe, I know a lot of narcissists. They live in a nice house, drive nice cars. Yep, they do. But they breed poverty to those around them. My father, like I told you in another video, lives in my house. He changed the deed on it. He thinks he won because that's the way a narcissist works from the ego. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. I bought that house. I had another house paid for. I bought this bigger house after my grandmother passed away to where the family would have places to live. 5-bedroom, 3-bath, brick house on an acre and a half, 4-car garage. And I actually made sure I bought it without stairs, so whereas he aged, he could come over and stay with me. 5 years after I bought it, my brother passed away. I invited him to come stay with me. So I put it in land trust and say I was single at the time and put it in land trust and put my brother on as trustee. You learn, don't you? We all learn the hard way. I didn't press charges. I didn't. That's still not resolved. It will play itself out. I'm not worried about it. I've forgiven them and I let it go. Why did you do that, Joe? It cost you $250,000. Because money's temporary. What he did is permanent. Forgiving him is permanent because I did the right thing for myself. Betraying me is on him. It's bad enough to do that to a human being, but to do it to your own child. And there's a major karmatic experience to come to this life and have children. There's a big duty for children. For parents towards their children in this life. Most parents don't have a clue. One reason I decided for myself not to have children, it wasn't right. I wasn't with the right person. And that's not a right or wrong thing. It's just for me. It wasn't. I'd had so much. I was so beat up in my head, and now my life is proven after Dark Night of the Soul. I'm glad I didn't, because I knew I was off, and I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't get my stability in life, my grounding. I've got it today. I got it. If I knew everything I'm telling you today, if I knew that at 16 years old, I'd never had a problem. My life would have been simple. That's what all these are about. So poverty breeds, or narcissism breeds poverty. Did I tell you I was dyslexic? So the narcissism puts out this air of confidence, this air of I can do it, but in all reality, they take credit for other people. They take things from other people. They manipulate, they lie, cheat, steal their way through. And I've seen it from more than one person. And it's so sad, because in the end, their ego says they won. And in reality, they lost everything that mattered. That's the key. We're living for the things that are permanent, not temporary. A narcissist is living for everything that's temporary. That's why it looks, on the outside, everything looks good. Everything, they're driving a nice car or living in a nice house. You don't see all the deceit and betrayal that comes along with that. Some narcissists are very crafty, much more crafty than others. Some struggle financially, which again breeds poverty, because they don't want anybody around them to have more than them. Families that work together thrive together. If you look back and you say, why does that person have so much luck and this and that? It's called, have you ever heard the sins of the fathers? I've just gotten into that a little bit. And basically, it's like the children pay for the sins of their fathers before. When these parents here before you, grandparents and all, had strong lives, they can then contribute to their children, and then so on. Everything is generational in one way or the other. If you come from a wealthy family and there's still narcissism, that's always possible, because the fathers could have built it and the narcissism takes over. I'd be curious to know if your situation fits outside the realm of anything that I'm talking about here. I'm going on what I've experienced, what I've seen, and what I've talked to people about. For instance, I've never seen a narcissist heal. I've never met one that really has healed, because I don't think it's possible. They talk about it, and they talk about how some of the therapists will talk about how the narcissist is actually a person that just believes so much in themselves and they're perfectionists and this and that. Narcissist does not believe in themselves, because believing in yourself is built on love. You can be built on shame and come across as though you have confidence because you have the ego in charge. Then you can have another person that has no ego, totally confident, because he's operating from love. So don't confuse arrogance and confidence. That's two that often get confused. Sticking to our point, narcissism breeds poverty. We came up, and not once did either one of my parents help us kids grow out of the poverty. Matter of fact, I got out of poverty and they beat us out of what we had. The story on how my mother beat me. I'm like, I wanted to go to college and she beat me out of that college money. It's a long story, but it's one thing after the other. But I'm trying to help you understand that no matter what you go through, there's a lesson behind it. There's a lesson in everything we do, and everybody is our teacher. Hanging around narcissism, my wife was married to somebody that kept her strapped for money. And her father was the same way. My father was the same way. It's like my father always had money for his women while he was married and having kids, but we had to get free lunches at school. We had hand-me-down clothes. They were decent clothes, but a lot of them were hand-me-downs. Or I remember the first time at 16 years old, I bought a pair of pre-washed jeans. I bought that with my own money. That was amazing. So, and again, I didn't have a problem growing up in poverty. That was not where I had the problem. It's the toxic energy that's the problem. And that comes from the narcissist. There was no love. There was no, there's several big singers that talk about they grew up in poverty. Loretta Lynn, a country singer, she was one of them. I think Dolly Parton's another one. They grew up in the hills. Dirt poor, but they had a lot of love, is what they said. And their family stuck together, and they all became well-to-do and close in their family. But yet, the family I grew up in is divided. My brother's dead. It's just everything's toxic. But these videos are about understanding, forgiving, and processing the emotions to release them so you can live the life you were meant to live. So understand that narcissism does not build, it destroys. So it theoretically, everything behind narcissism leads you into poverty. Theoretically or practically probably is more a better word. When it's all said and done, there is brokenness going to be there somewhere. Even if somebody's thriving, there's going to be people in pain left behind. But this channel is about getting through it, processing them and healing. Knowing that you're an amazing person, knowing that you were born the perfect you, and your job is to become the best you. And I'm going to help you take charge of your life and become the best you. This is Joe Cox Jr. with Life Made Simple, getting you through this narcissistic world. I wish you nothing but blessings. Bye-bye.